Now it will. Hello. Sorry, muted.
Hi. She is
Didn't
also
actually
here.
unmute my own microphone. That's really embarrassing.
I mean, they got you on mine. They got you on mine. And then I just need to do one more bit.
Do I do the
Hang on.
very chatty? Probably that works.
Where is it? Welcome to We Are Doing Stuff and Things. And Stuff and Things. Okay,
Ooh.
I've got you up as
Yay.
well. And then one last little bit.
Chat.
That was the wrong page.
That was me all the time. Hi guys.
Yeah. There you go.
Woo. I was
Okay.
like, what haven't I done? Looking at everything.
Like,
Hi
we've
guys.
done something at some point, you know.
How is
I
everyone?
know how well awkward it is to talk to someone that can't hear the chat. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I feel that same. I feel that. I was like, what's going on? What am I doing?
Now everyone can see everything.
I'm watching you.
Always watching Mike Wazowski. So we were playing some GTA London earlier.
Oh, that looked good. I was kind of lurking while working. I was like, ooh, this looks
if you
fun.
want to borrow it at any point, just let me know. We can borrow it.
Might.
Have you got a PlayStation 2?
I've got PS3 that does backwards compatible.
What, even with PS1 games?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, got it for my 21st birthday. You know, same year PS5 came out, my dad went, you're getting a PS3.
I mean, look, they would have been dirt cheap then, so
it was fun.
Alright, I'm just tucking away all of my Starburst wrappers. Also have the original. Right, time. It came today, so in order to play GTA London, I had to buy GTA. So that's never getting used, but it's there. It's the platinum one as well, so yeah. Right, as I say, I could probably do about an hour.
Let me know when you're good to start.
Yeah, I'm good whenever you are. I'm just eating another Starburst, so.
Do it. I mean, I was opening my Dr. Pepper.
Alright, we're being the same characters again.
Yeah. Why not? There's me opening my Dr. Pepper on stream, like.
Nice.
It's fine.
Also, hi Sadie's chat. We can see you.
And hi Sarah's chat. You can hear me.
Right, what are we doing?
I can't remember. Something about going down here.
Mio, who
Emerald, hey, how's it going?
It's just the defense system of this facility.
Okay, this
Don't
one's
mind it.
mine, I guess.
I feel like I can't remember how to play this, even though we were playing it just yesterday.
I'm just gonna be spamming buttons, you know. Hi, Sarah's chat.
These guns are very user-friendly.
And it's very much me. I'm like spamming buttons, going,
There
what
are
am
no
I actually
rookies on
doing?
this mission.
Spam, spam,
And
spam,
here you're a super-trained
spam.
super soldier.
Oh, that was not nice. Yeah, that's a
Whoops.
double jump.
Oh, so it times out. Shit.
Double contranda.
I may need you
Oh,
to
do
come
you
back.
need me?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you. Ooh, that was some skills right there.
That was good.
Hey, Amita. How is it going? I was
Hey,
like,
Ann.
I was like, what's going on? Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Shoot everything.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm just like, I want to shoot everything. Haha.
Oh, I made it just.
So we're
about
here
made
to
it.
stop the release of a toxin. And
Oh.
No,
destroy
no,
the
I did the
facility.
same thing, don't worry.
Have you always been into action
Okay.
and sci-fi?
Oh.
As far back as I recall.
Oh, no.
Ooh,
has run
sugar.
Did you jump up there?
Some
I don't know.
favorite teddy bear,
Did you just say sugar?
blanket, or
Yes.
secret spot.
You
You go with explosion.
But
Oh. This might take us a while, guys.
But sure.
Oh, okay. No! Oh, no. Jane, does this take you back to when we were playing It Takes Two? And how
I can
you were
do-
constantly having to wait for me to play and get somewhere?
I
Oh,
still
okay,
need to play
okay.
It Takes Two.
Oh, it's such a good game.
Yay, I made it. Where am I going from here?
I'm on my way. I'm on the last bit. I wasn't too far off from
I
you.
got lost. I was like, where am I going? Yep, those streams open, but I can hear you twice. I'll keep one muted. You're just there like,
Okay. Perfecto.
Yeah, this
Okay,
one.
let's go. We've done different things. Ouch.
damn it.
I'm just gonna hide around here.
There you
What
go.
were we meant- oh, were we meant to destroy them?
I think so. I just killed him. That's me. Oh, that is not me.
Okay, I think I killed that one as well.
So these
think
are
it
the
was to help,
godforsaken mechs our
cross
base
the thing.
captain told us about.
No.
Expect
How are
to
you
run into
doing?
more of them.
Hey, Nah, how are you? Welcome.
Ooh, what is this?
Where we are.
I can press buttons.
The other voice you can hear now is Sadie Bean.
Hello.
There's buttons.
Yeah, I'm
Push the
pressing random
button.
stuff. Turning map. Well, the looks of it. This is me just very distracted.
Me, I'm just trying to blow up stuff.
Very different play styles. I'm the like, I just want to like get distracted. How long they been into
How long
split
they
fiction?
been
We just started.
us? Yeah, we just started it. We'll be doing it for about an hour, I guess.
Y'all.
Oh!
Of course,
Wait,
stream element.
that thing that you were playing with, is that not just this?
Oh. Maybe.
If I have a little look.
Maybe it is.
So I think, yeah, you'd grip on.
And just swing all the way around.
Yeah, onto that platform, I guess. It kind of looks like it's a...
Seems like it's an awful lot. Hey, Frolic. How you doing? Feels
Hey,
like
Frolic, how are you?
feels like a very long thing just to get across.
Oh, there's a base downstairs.
Oh.
It looks as though, so we have to go down to... Oh, what are you doing?
I'm trying to shoot at a droid thing. It's shooting at me, I'm shooting back at it.
Why is the droid shooting you?
I don't know. What have I done to piss off droids? There we go.
Got it.
I think I helped.
Yay!
No!
Oh no. Okay.
Oh dear.
I'm just spinning at this point.
Yeah, so on the ground level there's
No.
a disc. There's a bit like right down on the bottom, so I think we have to go like down there.
Ah, damn it! I just missed it. What if I just? Ooh, no.
Oh
well.
yeah, I'm gonna try.
Nope.
No.
Okay, yeah, you can't just drop down either.
Damn it. Maybe we get there later? I don't know.
Should I try with my one?
Yeah. It's the worst that can happen. Happens if you
Dr.
just...
Pepper.
Damn it.
Okay, right, let's try and figure this out. Everything else has been puzzly. So what are we missing?
Whew. I
Oh,
just
up
died.
here. Up here.
Ah.
Okay, right. Hang on. Oh, there's something up here that I think you can shoot.
Incoming! Just trying not to get soaked. Like I did on my lunch break.
Oh, did it rain?
Yeah, I got soaked.
1
walking
hour?
back from
I know,
Mackey's.
Code Makey, I'm sorry. What, you had a Mackey's?
Yeah, I had
That's
an
not
hour's
fair.
break, so I was like, I'm going to Mackey's. Everyone else at work was.
Oh. Hang on, sorry, I'm delaying it for 2 seconds because I want to eat a Starburst.
Do it. Oh,
2 seconds.
I eat. I eat. I
Okay.
shoot. You shoot.
Yeah. And you? Okay.
Hopefully. Hey, there we are.
Aha! Look at
Aha.
us.
Puzzly.
Puzzling things. I think there's a few as well.
Yeah. Oh, do you shoot the red thing there, maybe? Ah.
And then... There you go.
Yay! Thank you.
Sadie and Sarah, oh my goodness, the breathtaking for you. Nah. Nah, how have you been? Oh, hang on. So that's that one. Right, and then you shoot that middle one.
Oh,
Hang
that
on.
makes sense. It's like Portal.
Okay.
Gives me Portal vibes.
Let's go!
Lock and load, Zoe.
Oh no.
Okay, so we've got, again, similar thing. Oh,
Where is he? Oh, bloody hell.
no, I just fell into the thing. I was looking at your screen.
Woo! Leave me alone, Buster.
Okay.
Ah, sugar.
Oh, okay. Right, come grab this blue one. And then this blue one.
Hang on. Woo.
You got it?
Yeah? No? Maybe not.
So if I do this one for you, grab that.
Oh.
I like how we like Spider-Man.
I think we've both got to shoot it, maybe.
Yeah, you're getting damage off.
Yeah.
But it like reflects back my one.
Ooh.
On my tail.
So I think if you can, we need to destroy these things. Yeah.
Ah. Aha.
Take it.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So I think do we get him in the circle if we're able to?
Yeah.
Like in here? Yeah. Yeah. So as soon as you hit it, it did.
Oh, maybe it's red because only you can shoot. Oh, hang on. Try shooting at him.
Yeah, so this will do damage. It will do damage to it. Where are you?
I'm here.
Which one are you going for? Which one
this
are you
red,
going for?
This red one. Down
Okay,
here.
let him come to us.
Yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh. That was my fault. I don't know if that did anything, but he does look like he's taking some damage.
No. Oh no. Whoops. Oh, so I think when he goes blue, he can only be damaged by the blue.
By the blue. Okay.
Yeah.
Doable. Doable. We got this. Where are you?
I'm here. Where are you going?
I don't know.
Ah, shit. I'm just gonna launch myself over here. We try get this one.
This one?
Or not. Oh. Okay. What reds
Oh,
do
it's
you want?
close.
We get him.
Sorry, I had to jump over. Did that do anything?
Yes! Huzzah!
Yes, nicely done. Huzzah!
Yay. I actually don't know where we need to go now.
Jeez.
Is that up here? Maybe.
I'm going to assume it's up here.
I'm assuming it's up here.
Yeah.
This looks about right.
This looks like we need to do something.
This looks like a story progress. That seems like a knife in my Haribo's.
Yeah, I'm also opening a Starburst again.
I have the Easter Haribo's.
When did you know that you wanted to become a writer?
Easter Haribos.
Yeah, they're like little eggs.
Somewhere I switched from
Oh.
drawing to using words.
Basically
Sure
gummy
thing.
eggs.
Don't you think it's remarkable
They're nice.
that when arranged in just the right order, words have
Oh,
the
cute.
power to change the world?
Not really into changing the world.
Mm.
As long as my close ones are taken care of, I'm fine.
Why be a writer then? There must be easier ways to get paid.
Of course, but everything else pales in comparison. I just love to write. It's how I stay sane.
I know the feeling.
Oh.
Your guns.
Yeah, let's
Oh,
go.
we have two now.
What now?
Or did we always have two and I wasn't paying attention?
I'm not sure. I thought we only had one.
I always assumed we had one.
Okay, so this is like a portal.
Oh yeah, it's like
Portal gun.
Portal.
Oh, so the left side will. The left side does it. Okay. So
Yeah.
left and left.
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, that works. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, that was close.
Oh, so that yeah. I don't think we were meant to go in together.
I mean, it was fun.
Teamwork though, right?
Yeah.
Seems you're getting the hang of this
Teamwork.
super soldier business, Zoe.
It only takes a tiny acorn to grow the mighty oak.
We'll see about that.
Anything around here? No.
Nothing around there. Nice.
Nice. This is making me want to play Fortune.
Oh, he's got another shield as well. Okay.
Caution, grenade detected.
Now, shoot down!
Failing.
Huh. Okay.
Mounting shields. Warning, grenade detected.
Do your left button.
Major blow.
Nice. There we go. Beautifully done. I feel like that should have been harder than it really was, but we're smart.
We don't need hard boss fights.
Okay, I'm gonna take that back.
Oh.
Here we go again.
Oh no, there's so many of them. Okay, focus on one first.
Grenade detected.
It's
Watch out.
defensive down.
Major damage. Adapting shield.
Ow.
Oh no.
Shield modification.
Stay alive for me, stay alive. There we go.
I'm trying. Okay.
Here, watch it!
Okay, what if we just...
Major.
Get it, shoot down!
Critical target. Threatened.
Okay. I'm going for separate things. Where are you?
Where are you?
There you are.
Grenade detected. Watch out. Modified shield.
I died. Again.
You died?
I'm
No.
here. I'm alive.
Okay. I'm getting attacked very heavily.
Shoot it while you watch it!
Oh!
Perfected gear. Failing. Adapting shields.
Okay, one down, one down.
One down!
Adapting shields.
I need to avoid the energy pulse things.
Now, get it!
Warning. Take cover.
Zoe, look out!
Modification complete.
Oops.
Oh, we're so close.
Haha.
Okay, two down. Okay, which one are we going for? Oh, they're coming down, I think.
Bring it down!
Nice. GG.
Okay.
Suffering major damage.
Okay.
Modified shield.
Oh no.
Taser. Grenade identified.
Now, kick it back! One down!
Woohoo!
Yes. GG's. Nice. Nicely done.
Yay! That feels like it should have been harder.
That was a good one. That was good. I liked that. Okay, we're going over there. Okay.
I think we are. I'm just going in this direction anyway.
The only way is up, right?
Oh, that's something.
Nice.
Bowling balls! Yeah.
Okay.
Strike them down!
Eee. Fuckers.
So close.
Oh no.
No, I'm sorry.
More incoming!
Oh, they're magnetic. Hang on.
Another wave!
Oh, do we have to shoot?
Oh! I just
Oh, no.
fell through. I'm so sorry. Right, I'm gonna try and get up to this top bit. Okay, I've got my one. I'm trying to just get mine all the way near the front. Nicely done.
Yay!
Straight up ball.
Whew. That was hard.
What did
that
that
was
do?
tense. I
That
don't
was
know.
good. Oh, okay.
Don't me!
Oh.
Ooh. Hi. Oh, you're following me. That's cool. I wanted the thing up now.
Sweet.
Okay.
Oh, we can move. We can
Interesting.
fly.
You can fly, you can fly, you can fly.
Ouch. I didn't realise it was a double jump.
Yay.
Nine. Whee!
We've got company, Zoe.
Oh no.
Shields down.
Okay.
Nice. Oh no.
Get the last one.
Ouch, sorry.
It's tough.
Woo. Aha, come at me, bro.
I mean, I died at the same time. It's fine.
Let me go this way.
I'm coming.
Uh-oh.
Keep it up.
We both died. We got to think of
Okay.
a good way of doing this.
Right. It's because I was too far away from you.
Ready? Again.
Sorry. I thought I pushed it.
Oh no. Ready?
Right.
Ooh. I wasn't even like...
Ouch.
Okay, keep flying into me. Go.
Oh no.
Right,
Okay.
I'm avoiding you at all costs. Okay.
Yeah, but you need to go.
Oh.
Right.
Ready? Oh.
No, you two. I'm
Help.
gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
Ready? Go.
Yeah. Right, you first.
That doesn't help.
What happened to you?
I.
Okay.
Oh. Oh no.
No, it's okay. You got this. You got this. Go.
Oh no.
We could do this, Bruce.
Get
We're
this,
too
Bruce.
far away again. Oh no.
We need to time this well, right?
Right, let me come close enough behind you.
You'll think it's knocking mine. No, that. This is not working well. Ready?
And yours? Yes!
Yay! That's all it took.
Oh, that was too funny.
I was like, hang on a second.
And now a spinning tunnel. You're into
No,
theme
nothing
parks.
done
Like
there.
that we both went that
The
way.
bigger the roller coaster, the better.
Impending death.
I prefer to wait next
Yeah.
to the ride. We're holding everyone's stuff.
Poor Dad. I forced him to go with me like 100 times in a row because I was too young to go alone.
Oh, well, he probably enjoyed seeing you happy.
No, he got so pale and dizzy every time. I had a blast tormenting him about it though.
Oh. Some of these have holes. It's okay, we're safe.
That's what she said. No, I'm kidding.
There's another side story.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, where's the
And
side
everyone
story?
thinks that I'm the bad influence. There's a dream
There's
over
a
there.
side story.
Side story.
Oh. Uh-oh. I'm coming, I'm coming.
Oh, this one looks like it's going to be a cute one.
Ah. Give me a couple of seconds.
I give
Didn't
you a couple of
realise.
seconds. It's okay. You're doing great. That was me earlier. I was like, oh no.
Oh, damn. Nope.
It's
Gives
okay.
you enough
I'm
time
eating
for a
my
starburst.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Mine I did it because I was like, gladiators.
Haha! I made it.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! I was like, I keep dying. I keep jumping and falling to my death.
Great! This one!
What's up, Zoe?
Welcome to the kite run. The
That sounds fun.
Kite run?
Oh, it looks so pretty.
idea on a game Ella and I used to play growing up.
Okay.
Up for a little race?
Are you
Oh, no.
challenging me?
Why? Are you scared?
Scared? Me? Oh, it's on.
This is
This is a
good.
good little friendship.
Mm.
Get set. Go!
Mm-mm.
Eat my dust! No, you eat mine! Whoa!
Oh, I'm supposed to be pressing it.
Oh, yeah! Oh, whee!
Whee!
Ah!
Go.
This is so fun.
Feeling tired yet?
Oh,
I'm only getting
just
started.
ran into the...
Whoa! Ah!
Woo.
Oh no!
No!
Haha! Oh, no!
I realised that we were actually flying.
I didn't realise that the controls were inverted.
And that as well. It's like Hogwarts Legacy. Flying.
Oh no, I'm going to lose, aren't I? I have lost.
Just relax.
I don't know. I don't know where are we meant to be going.
You don't even know where it is.
I don't know where it is. No, where? That's unfair.
Oh no.
No.
Oh no.
Bye.
Lucky for you, I died.
I know, right? That was very lucky.
Whoa.
It's not fair. I landed on the top.
Am I
Wait, you're in
determined to
front of
win?
me. How did that happen?
Magic.
Maniacal
Magic is
laugh.
magic.
It's because I landed on the top. Oh, the music in this is beautiful.
Oh no. No! No! No!
No! Oh, so close.
Oh no!
Oh, no, I lost it again.
Here we go.
No!
No! Yes! Victory!
Got it!
Go, 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 go! Go! For the love of God, go! Yes!
That was good.
So happy for you.
Oh, you are?
Oh yeah.
Can we do that again?
Loser.
I'm not.
I want to do that one again.
That was so fun!
That was really fun. I liked that.
It's in contending with the pigs for me.
I mean, the pigs was just something else. I want to be able to play that one again. That was good.
Another side story saved for Raider's Grasp.
Good. Now, let's get back to our mission.
Uh-oh. What am I pressing? Sorry. This is why I keep dying in this game. I keep like getting distracted
Haribo.
by stuff. Yes, Haribo and... I'm coming.
Why are you shooting it?
I am.
Thank you.
I just cheated and double jumped. Because I was like, this is easy. I just double jump it.
I'm like, That's not fair.
Sure is getting annoyed.
Let's annoy it some more.
Oh.
Oh, hello.
Goodbye.
Ah,
I have the best method of getting rid of them.
me too.
That's what I was doing. Well, they're over. Yeah, no. Yay!
Oh,
That's my
that
method
did
anyway.
it. Yeah,
I don't think
was
that was
that
how
what we
I
were
was-
meant to do?
I don't think so.
Let's press on.
That's what I was doing anyway.
Yeah, I feel like we probably weren't meant to be doing that.
That
Oh, well.
felt too
They
easy.
should put it in if yeah. Oh.
Whew. No, sorry.
Okay,
I
I
died.
see what we need to do. No, do you want to do it, and then I'll just try and shoot if I can. I think this is another one where we have to do it together.
Oh, yeah. All right.
But by the look of it, this side doesn't have any of the. No, it will. It turns into it, right?
Yeah.
Oop.
Right.
Either way, I need to start. Which side do you want to do?
We do this side.
Okay.
Oh,
I pushed L1 instead. I'm sorry. Okay. And then use.
oh, I didn't realize I was supposed to be following.
Yeah. Yeah. So. And then you do the back in.
Oh,
Are you able to hit it near the wall?
that's what I'm going to try to.
Yeah. Nice.
Keep it up.
Nice.
Yay.
GG's.
That was
Nicely done.
nice.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was. I'm not going to say it actually. I don't want to jinx it.
What were you gonna jinx?
I was going to say that was nice and easy. I said that at work today and I made the mistake of saying it at work. Do we... Ah. Woo.
I'm like, I'm going. Oh, okay. We need to be in the dome.
Green's never a good colour on rain, is it?
Come.
Don't get wet.
And then wait.
Oh, yeah.
We'll wait until it comes over again, and then
Oh, it changes colours.
go. Yeah. Right, go.
Close up. There we go.
Okay.
What way
Left
do
or
we-
right?
Let's go left.
Left. No! Shoot. Oh no!
Where are you?
I'm sorry. No, I'm back here. I need your
shit.
help. Oh no, it's okay. We wait until the next one because it will
Okay.
change colours again. So I'll run to you.
Okay.
Right. There we go.
I was like, crap, I'm trapped. I was like, I didn't think this one
Okay,
through.
and then
did
we
I?
do this together. Oh
no.
no! I almost landed in it. Okay, fine. Are you in?
No.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Wait until it changes on the next one.
I'll come to you. We're like,
Yeah.
no.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't get out right now. You in?
In.
Nice.
Huzzah.
Unexpected
Huzzah!
blue umbrellas, Mio.
Right, what way?
What? They're not.
Would we have to...
No, we have to. I guess we
Wait.
could do it separately. It's just nice doing things together.
Yes. Alright.
Right, you good?
Oh, crap. Right, where is it? Let me in. Let me in. God. I was like, oh.
Was that just in time?
Yes.
Gotta go, go!
Oh, Jesus.
This is like... Where we go?
I think we needed another one for that. Oh, shoot.
Okay.
Both died on that one. Oh,
'cause
no!
Okay, what I'm going to say is
Okay.
we wait for it to go past us, then we run.
Or wait for here,
Yeah.
where
so
we are?
If,
Yeah, okay.
and then you do yours. So that should also give us enough time.
Okay, perfect.
And then, yeah.
Oh! Sorry, I got too excited.
I'm here!
Oh, it's okay.
Wait. I'm going to wait.
Yeah.
Because I don't know when it's going. There we go. So,
Right, do yours. Yes!
yay!
Hurry! Hurry! Sizzling!
Whew.
Okay.
That was tense.
That was good. That was good, yeah. That was a good little puzzle.
That was fun. I think.
I think.
We're pressing deeper into the factory now.
Actually, this super soldier thing is kind of growing on me.
You don't have to be nice.
No, I mean it. I am down with saving humanity.
Love how she's like, I love this.
She's so positive. I love her.
I love the fact she does fantasy and shit as well.
What do you think Raider is up to
Yeah,
now?
exactly. She does
Well,
fantasy.
When negotiations fail, war usually follows.
Right. Well, let's hope that's not the case.
But one can
Uh-oh.
always
Sorry.
hope.
I got it.
Hope.
I go first.
That's okay. Me too.
Oh, for... I know what I'm supposed to be doing. Or not. Oh, I know.
Wow. Oh, okay.
If
Hang
we
on.
both do it, like, I do it, then you do it really quickly.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Did you get what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh no!
No. No.
Ah, shoot. Okay. Go. Oh no.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't. No, it needs to be
Oh,
up high.
hang on.
Yeah, it needs to be up high.
There you go.
Nice. We try again.
Oh no.
Yeah, hang on. We can get a bit closer. Right, go on.
Oh,
Yes.
cool. I was
Thank
going
you.
for another one
Teamwork.
anyway. That was me prepared to throw another one.
No, I
Those
appreciate it.
node
Thank
thingies
you.
look intriguing.
Oh!
Hang on.
Is it like, do we have to do it in a particular order?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's be in sync.
Oh, it's in sync. So we do top together,
Got it.
or is it we throw it at this
I think
thing?
it's all three of them together. So if you
I'm aiming
tap
for
in the
this.
middle,
There you go.
there you go.
I was aiming
Yeah,
for the
all three of them
middle
together.
thing. Oh, that makes sense. There's me go. What am I doing? Oh, fancy. I think. Oh no.
I'm like, bye.
Woo! Uh-oh. Try not to take my
I hope
head
that
off as well.
helped.
Has been like, please don't kill me.
Avoid green lasers. Check. Avoid.
Yay! I didn't realise that they were lasers.
Me neither. I was just jumping for the sake of jumping.
A port. It's a spaceport.
This place is
That's
actually
no
quite impressive,
moon.
Mia. Bit grim, but still.
Hey, Zoe.
My
I was thinking about something you said,
Oh yeah.
that you always put a bit of yourself into what you create. Do you really believe that?
Oh,
I do. And no matter how hard we try to hide it, something always
these are very
slips
nice
through.
Haribos.
And they're good Haribos.
Feel it.
Hmm. Who is messaging me? Oh.
You seem to be going
Look.
through a rough
Oh,
patch
look,
up in
ignore
the
it.
real world, but it's not all bad, you know. Isn't that how you realized something fishy was going on?
What do you mean?
When you second-guessed Raider and stumbled into my simulation.
Let's just say that
I love
I've
how
seen
she
enough
said,
medical
like,
stuff,
I
and
know something fishy is
we're being
going on.
wired into machines for a lifetime.
Yeah, she's definitely got something going on.
Well,
Hmm.
I'm glad you came into mine. And gave
Hey,
us a chance
Nye,
to
how are
fight for
you?
our ideas.
Hey, Nye.
Hello there.
Hell no!
General
Here we go
Kenobi.
again.
Oh, for
Take it down!
Woo.
Take him down. Oh, okay, we can just shoot at him.
Oh, there's two. Oh no. Okay, I've taken
one's
one
out.
down.
Ouch. Ouch. I see them.
Yay! Oh, oh no.
I help.
Yeah, back off! Nice shooting, Zoe!
Promise I didn't shoot you on purpose just then.
Of course not. Of course not.
Okay, let's go. Whoa!
Oh, and it drops
Hang
us.
on! Open it! Open it!
Oh no.
Ah,
Whoops.
I fell. Oh.
I fell too. I'm really enjoying it so far, no. Yay! Oh no. Whew.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like, really fun.
It's different. Ah. Who plays the waiting game?
Meanwhile, me, I'm like, I'm going. I'm off. Bye.
Whew. We avoid the lasers.
No, it is really good fun though. If you can stop being such a dreamboat, please. It's
Oh
very
no.
distracting.
Right. I'm coming, I'm coming.
Okay. No, it's okay. I was working out the puzzle. So I do this side first. You do your one on this side, and then you do this side. Okay.
Oh, we need to do. Okay, ready? Yes.
Nice. I'm just dropping down. Okay.
Let's see where the toxin is made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
source of the ultimate weapon is at the top floor.
Oh, I didn't see that. I wasn't really paying any attention.
Seen some people playing it, but you've not played it yourself. It is good fun. Some professional gaming going on. Gamer in.
Watch out!
In
I
which
totally
sense?
Was paying attention just there. Me go.
Me, I was just like, yeah, there's something.
I pressed the wrong button.
Oh, it's okay.
Go, go, come on!
Ooh, perfect.
It's okay. I've stopped the thing from shooting at you, so that's
Yay.
gonna help. Every gamer is a professional, obviously.
Oh, 100%. Yay, I'm alive.
Obviously. We all know what we're doing. All the time.
Totally.
Oh, what's this?
That smells funky. Don't breathe it in.
Oh. Okay, so we need to be together again.
Wait, that first one's you, so shoot that and stand on it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. Oh. Ay, ay, ay.
Well, no, hang on. I fell. Oops. Oof.
It's all those things going down the pipes reminds you of Alita Battle Angel. Did we make it?
Yeah,
Yay!
nothing up there. Damn it.
Wow, how any of my shots just hit
What?
then.
Okay.
Oh, we're steering. Oh shoot.
Ooh.
Mist balloon.
Hello.
What? They're drones.
Oh. Here we go.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Whoa, whoa!
Goodbye.
Nice. And then hang on. No. I'm like, bye. There you go.
Leave me.
Over to your right.
Sesame.
Ah.
And then
Oh, it's Monsters Inc. With all the doors.
it's Boo's door. So you jump on one of those toilets.
Oh, I can't. Hang on.
Or you can do that, yeah.
Can we actually jump onto the toilet?
I think you had the right idea in just running across. So I will base it off of 3, 2, 1.
No.
Yeah, so I think you need to go on the toilet. I wonder if this Boo is a robot, right?
How the hell am I going to? Because there's another bit up here. Can you head camera? Damn.
No, it's blue my side.
Or, ooh, I know. No.
Where even is that bit? Yeah, I only have blue on my side.
Right. How do I get up there?
I
Because
wonder
it's
if
only
Boo is a
red to my
robot in
side.
this. It would be really good if they were.
Yeah, no, I can't jump it.
Let's think this through logically.
Are there any buttons? I just...
What did that R1? You were just near something. It said R1.
Gets me here.
What's that do?
Gets me here.
It gets you here.
Over there.
Okay. Can you R1 onto a toilet?
hang on.
Aha. And then.
I don't even know if I can make the jump there. Yeah, I can't make that jump. Unless... Oh! Try again. No, that's not a wall thing. I thought that was a wall run.
It's okay. I'm liking how you're figuring it out.
My brain is running at like 50%. Oh well.
Hang on, let me try on my side. Because I also have this yellow thing. No, okay.
How can I get onto a toilet? Nope. It's like we can't actually get onto them.
That's okay. This is also like the time that we thought that we couldn't get across to the secret story. But
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
figure this out. Have I got anything else around near me? that can
Oh.
help with this? Well, what did you just do?
I mean, I exploded the toilets. I know what to do. Right. Tell me if my blue thing is still on. Okay. What we need to do is that I need to send my blue thing through. Is it still on there? Right, run and
It
follow
is,
that.
yes.
Tell me when it's near.
Go.
There, go.
Nice! GG's!
I was
Okay,
like,
now...
I think I know what I'm doing.
Here you go.
Yay!
GG's.
My brain's working. That's a first.
Yes. I like how we figured that one out really quickly. What's this one doing? Oh wait, hang on. So I think if you jump off of your one,
Yeah.
does yours do anything?
No. Now it does.
There you
so-
go. There you go.
There,
And then
go,
if I go
shoot.
onto mine,
If we both stand on it at the same time, there we go.
nice.
That works.
Jeez.
Usually go to right.
Yay.
Do you have an office or are you the cafe type?
I like when we're working out
I actually had my own
puzzles.
corner in Dad's garage.
And they say that games aren't
I like to find my
puzzly.
sci-fi and the
It's so
grit,
fun.
dirt, and oil.
Oh,
They're great.
do you still go there?
No, we had to sell his business when he fell sick.
Aww.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
There was no way that I was making that. Whoa! I survived that.
Ooh,
Test chamber. This is
blue
gonna
station
get rowdy.
offline.
How rowdy exactly?
Red
Rowdy
station
with extra
offline.
cheddar on the top.
And I'm lactose intolerant.
Okay.
Okay, we have
Oh,
to
it's
manually
Okay,
like-
activate the security.
This is a similar thing.
Activate away.
Right. Oh, there's a.
Station. Oh, where was that?
Here. So if I throw that there, if you come stand on this one, maybe?
I'm coming. I'm coming. Very slowly, but I'm coming.
Okay, ready?
Yep. Nice.
Yes! Okay, that worked. And then.
Okay, and then you can come over to this one. Ready?
Yeah? Have you thrown your thing over?
No. I tried and then I realised it was that. Hang on. There you go. Alright, figured it out. now.
Yay! Right.
Right, ready?
Yeah. Yay!
Nice.
Puzzles!
Puzzles!
We're trapped in here.
Now that's a big boy.
Hello, can you let me back out, please?
Here.
Go! Yay, I'm alive. Ooh, he has
I mean,
legs.
I'm hurt, but
We
I'm
can shoot
still
at.
alive.
Oh, he has legs that we can shoot at. Where are you? I've lost you. I'm coming, I'm
Oh,
coming.
and then
Yes.
okay, nice.
Damn it. Woo. Oh, thanks. Oh, I'm shooting at these dudes.
They are shooting at me, but
I shot it.
I'm just hiding behind
What
here.
way
Yeah.
should we go? This way?
I'll go around. We'll double team it, but we'll meet in the middle.
Where are you? We lost you.
Here.
There. Oh no.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Ow.
We have a bit of a strategy now.
Yeah. Hey, at least I'm no longer trapped in my little box.
Now that's a big boy.
Right, my one's done for you. Nice.
Yes.
Nice shot. It's doing something. Small mech balloon.
I'm just hiding in the middle.
I'm just shooting at the dudes.
Ouch. Was that one open? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Nice. Oh, that was cool. I like this one. Whee! Okay, where's our next one? Oh.
Hang on. They're shooting at the killer robots that are chasing me. They're like killer bees.
Bees, bees.
Buzz, buzz.
Ouch. Okay, I got it open. Got it open.
Yes.
Nice.
One leg.
Oh, can you go again? Sorry.
Hang on. Oh, he's shooting more killer bees at us. God's sake. Give me a lone killer bees. Yes. Still open.
Loz. I died. Right, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah, nicely done.
We're not out of the woods yet.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh, yay! Hey, FaZe, how are you? Good late afternoon. Exactly.
Hey, FaZe. How's it going?
Okay, we need to somehow get, I guess, on top of it.
Ooh. I know. Shoot me.
Did you go?
Mind those flip mines.
Oh, for
Oh,
oh no.
come in. Alright, I'm on.
Hang on.
Mine. Mine.
Go. Oh yeah, you need to do the...
Okay, that did a bit of damage.
If I come over... Ooh. Ooh. Give me a second to not die. I'm coming! Oh, sugar. I'm here.
Oh yeah. Making my way around.
Wait, there's mine!
Okay. Ready?
Right, I'm here. Yep. Oh, my aiming is terrible. Sorry.
I just died again. Hey, I'm here.
There we go.
Mine!
Yes. Okay, we'll focus on your end.
Ouch. I'm coming around
no.
to...
Come around blue. Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm on your side.
I need you
Hey,
this
where are
side.
you?
I need you this
It's
side.
spawned me over this side. It's spawned me over here.
Oh no. Help is on the way there.
Help is on the way.
Oh wait, no,
You're
that's...
tired as hell. You're alright, but you're tired as hell. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. I should be tired. But this game
Oh, no.
has given me a
Ready?
spout of energy. Yep.
Go, go, go.
Nice. Got it.
Yay! Huzzah!
My aim is terrible. I'm so sorry. Huzzah!
No, it's all good.
But yeah, phase. I'm doing good.
Scaling up trauma.
This was wild.
Oh no, I just wanted my starburst. Right
Get
now.
ready, Zoe.
It's chasing me.
Defenses are down.
Oh, okay, so you hit it when it's blue.
Ah!
Nice.
Yes, where is it?
Get on top of it.
Oh, he's
Go,
down there.
go. Come on.
I didn't realise that we were riding it. Oh, shoot. Oh no, I fell off. I'm sorry. I'm soz.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Where is he?
Too late.
Blast it now. Fire, fire.
Alright, it's your turn. Okay, right. Okay, I'm on.
I'm just
doing
holding
loads
it
of
down
damage.
too.
Yeah, I'm just holding it, yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Hold.
I was going to say, it will kick us off at some point.
Yeah. Like a UFO.
I know, right?
Is that a UFO? Is that unidentified plane? Yeah. Nope, it's just two people wearing a red and black suit. Oh no.
Open fire, Zoe.
Where? Oh.
Yeah, where?
Shields are down. Shoot.
Die.
Okay, it's going to...
There. Get it.
Oh, no.
Now. Get it.
Help.
Does it look a bit like a snake?
Because it is a snake.
Oh,
Oh no. Where are you? Don't mind me as I'm coming
That's
to...
it. Its shields are down. Get it.
Nice.
Go, 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 go!
Spam it.
Mummy! Come on, die.
Let's go.
Die for me.
I'm not getting any help.
Oh no.
It definitely took damage. It took a chunk off, but we've still got, I guess, one more left.
Chase is on!
Oh, we're getting chased. Oh, I don't know how I made that.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a wall there, but I somehow managed to make it without using it.
I wish that happened to me, but it didn't.
Again!
Yay! He
GG's.
did. He did. How come not
How come?
ideal?
Not ideal.
Yeah. Can't
Okay,
be
that
insane.
idea.
I'm not kidding.
Right, where are we going? No, not down there. Oh.
Ha!
That's me jumping into what I thought was the staircase.
You're jumping across, and I'm like, I think that glass broke.
I wasn't paying much attention.
Oh, I
was
did a
like,
backflip
oh.
off of that. That was well done.
Okay, so we've got something we could pull under. Something that we do need to pull under.
Sorry, I carried on going.
Raider wants all of
I was
our
like,
ideas
where is she?
full. Not sure. And he isn't just
Spider-Man.
stealing from us. How
Spider-Man?
many more writers' stories
Spider-Man.
have been extracted before we came here today? True. But to what end, though?
Or
Whatever it
everything.
is, I'm sure there's a
Sorry.
lot of money involved. Money and power. A tale as old as time.
Right, Beauty and the Beast.
Time. Nothing that we've missed. Oh.
Right, this is the same again. So,
Oh, sorry.
oh no, I see.
That's a smooth trick.
That's awesome.
Wait, what did you do?
You just walk through it. Walk through your
Oh.
colour. That's what I did.
I was just too scared to.
I was like, what's the worst that can happen? This is giving me Droid Factory vibes from Star Wars.
Oh, I never played that one. I realised like I have Jedi Survivor, I think.
Oh, that looks like such a cool game.
Yeah, it looks
Ooh.
really good. I haven't played it for a
That's
very
through
long time.
there as well. Right.
Hey, have you found a potential secret area?
Or is that the this is the secret
This is the
area.
secret area!
Yay!
Yay!
I was like, wait. One of them has to be a secret story.
Oh, shoot.
You know me, I like my side quests.
Yeah,
I need to
like the
finish
side ones.
Jedi Survivor.
Oh, shoot. And I keep on dying. No! Okay. Start it out,
I started
boys.
Jedi
Start it out.
Survivor, and it was
You started
looked
it.
fun, but I never got around to finishing it.
I think it's ironic that a game about stealing other people's stories plagiarizes other games. I mean, it's definitely ironic. Am I okay with that? Yes, I am.
I think it's quite fun.
I think it's great. We're about to be a cat, I feel. I feel like we're about to be a cat. There are a lot of cat toys there.
I would love to be a cat. No, we're magic, I think.
Yes! I really hoped we'd get to see this one.
Oh yeah?
Everybody
is
wants
it?
to be
Let me
a
show
cat. Code Monkey, what game would you be in if you could be in any game? I like how we both took a pause there just to eat snacks.
Maybe.
Right. So this is
She
a
says
very
eating
long
her.
Maybe.
Should I be worried? Nope. And I can't wait
She
to
says
show you.
eating her Haribo like, It's like Hogwarts. Trust me to find the Harry Potter reference. No breaking.
They're very
See,
pretty.
it's like Hogwarts.
Look, it can plagiarise that. I'm okay with it. You'd be in Jedi Star Wars, would you be a good one or a bad one?
Where creatures great and small come to sell their wares and to have a good time.
And what are we here for?
That's me
Apart from
accidentally
all the
knocking
magical
everything.
fun. Cats. We
Yay!
are
I think maybe I'd
magical
want to be in
magical
Stray.
cats.
I would love to play as a cat. And we're rescuing stray cats in this one. Where?
Here's
I can
a
hear a
cat.
cat. Come here, kitty! Come here!
Right. Hang or hover onto me.
Damn you, Sarah.
Sorry. There we go, I don't have the cat anymore.
Oh, so they unlock stuff. Oh my god, look at them all! I'm in paradise right now.
Why are there moles?
I don't know.
No, I'm gonna call them nifflers. They're gonna be nifflers. Probably a dumb one. There ain't no more people in Stray. They've gone extinct.
We need
Yeah,
to
they're
find the
they're
three
like
triangles,
robots, I
and
think.
Together, they will grant us access to the fort.
Can we ride the
Does
snail?
that make sense?
And remember to have fun while we search.
Hi.
I have a wand. I have a wand.
I'm riding a snail. 6 hours later.
Oh, my wand shows me the direction of where there's a cat.
Hello. I'm making a magical potion. Don't know how it's going to turn out, but... Oh,
Where are you?
what have I just made?
Oh wow.
Oh, this is cool. Oh my god, you can make potions. Right.
Okay.
How can I become a cat? This one. And hey. I want
I'm sorry.
to be a cat.
I feel the
I went with violence. Yeah, Stray's a really cute game though. Have you ever played Stray?
brilliant.
Oh my
Your
god.
balloon.
Oh my
Do we
god.
have a red balloon?
Right, where's
You
Sarah?
are a pumpcat.
Where are you?
Have balloons. Do you want a balloon?
Here.
Oh my god, you're bouncing like a puffs game.
Here.
You're
Come here.
bouncing like a puffs game.
I'm bursting you.
Burst my bubble.
You burst my pigs earlier.
Did I burst your pigs?
Well, you
I didn't burst your pigs.
hit the bird. Sorry, guys.
That was by accident, okay?
Right, what's the other
Wow.
ones I can make? 2 of these.
Oh my goodness, this one's great. Whee!
Screw the cats, I'm playing potions.
Whee!
Oh my god! I'm a giant yamble. Where's Sadie gone? Hehehe. Whee! Whee! Guess where I've been?
Oh, I
Follow the
wonder.
pink. Oh
Hello,
my god!
my name is Mushroom. It was a fun room.
Right, what's the mystery
Some
one?
people call me, I'm a fungi. Why does he look like an adipose? Anywho, right, where's my wand gone?
What's this magical
My wand.
Oh my god! I'm you! Hi, I'm Sarah.
You're me?
Hi. How do I change
Back
pattern?
here.
No!
Back.
I'm gonna steal the candy as you.
Okay.
I turned you into cheese. You're welcome. You're welcome. Honestly, welcome guys to Hours of Fun.
This
We
is
don't
so
need to
much
play the
fun.
actual game.
Whee! Whee!
You.
Can I recreate up?
You recreate up.
Hi! I've stolen a balloon from a kid.
Right, can you come over here?
Where are you? I'm having
With
too
your
much
balloons.
fun. Hang on.
That's great.
I have a wand as well. Hang on.
Have you set off the fireworks? So I was going to say. Set the fireworks off. That was such a maniacal
Oh my
laugh.
god, I'm so sorry. Oh,
What did you just do?
nothing. Right. Balloons are coming with me. Hey! My balloons! Right, that's it.
My balloons! I'm sorry.
Hello? Let me in, I'm being bullied. Hello, Kitty, I'm being bullied.
That was funny. I'm so
Right.
sorry.
Hi, Kitty Cat.
If it
What
helps,
have you got
I now
in here?
no longer have the wand.
Ah.
Whoa, that's kind of
That's
freaky.
a big birdie house right there.
Oh,
Nope.
I'm hitching a ride.
That's what I was trying to do, and then they
Her
went away
name was
without me.
Lola. Do, 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 do.
Is this Harry
is
Potter
like-
land? I mean, it feels like it. Ooh, great.
This is so much fun. Come back here, Kitty. Fall back.
Did you just fall?
Yeah. Never.
Never.
Wait, get back here!
That's like me trying to tempt my cat somewhere. Get your butt back here. Especially when they're trying to get into their carrier. Oh, jeez, that is
Cats are
painful.
evil. Cats are evil.
No, they're lovely. Mine are
No, they're
anyway.
evil.
Mine are lovely. Chaos, but
Help me with this strange chest.
chaos gremlins. It's Trunk. Oh no. Right. Haha. Hi.
Nice! Let's bring it back to the castle gate.
Flying books.
There you have the cat that time.
Yeah.
Flying books. Yeah, this is definitely plagiarising Potter. And I'm okay
Come
with
here,
that.
Kit Kat. Come here. I shall name you Cat.
Very original.
Yeah,
Do you know
of
what I
course.
thought about that?
Red
I
Wolf.
thought that was catastrophically bad.
Someone turn me into. Get your butt back here. Come on. This is me chasing you as a little chicken.
There you go.
Right, that's it. Oh, it's on. Ugh, cheese wheel. Being bullied here.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, right, the next cat. Please. So slow. Oh my lord, I just chuckled way too much that I was crying.
I know what I want to do.
Hey, don't
Oh, you found the next cat.
Yeah.
I got
Are
a
you gonna be
trophy.
me? You got a trophy?
I'm a
What's it for?
trumpet.
You're a trumpet? Oh, I have a hat. A cat hat. Hi, Mushroom. You can grow flowers? I can grow flowers. Oh, I see what we need to do. Okay.
Actually, hello. You're magical.
I mean, I feel like
Oh,
we're
we got
probably
to
on
copy-
drugs right now.
We got to copy the things, so. Da-da-da. So you got to follow the
Oh,
guide.
okay.
So
That was the guide.
I don't know why yours hasn't registered for the
No, it's
ears.
because this needs to be blue.
No, but your ears haven't registered for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think I've fully done it.
I was
think I've
like,
missed
hang
an
on.
area.
Da, 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 da.
There we go. I missed an area, that was why.
Can I just be a flower
go.
princess now? How? Sorry. You might have to do my...
You need to do your side as well.
Might have to redo your eye, by the way.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yay!
There we
This
go.
is so cute. I love this.
Yeah, that came out kind of pretty.
This is contending for my favourite side quest right now.
Yeah, this is just as
Mushrooms?
cute as the pigs. Magic
Oh my
mushrooms.
god. Yes. I mean, what?
How did you get stuck in there?
That's like my cats. How did you get stuck in here? Fine.
Come here, spirit fluffs.
Oh, it's following you. Oh no, it's following me.
It's following you, yeah. It's following you.
Are there any more hats?
You can jump on the mushrooms.
Ooh. Hello. Da-da-da. Da-da. I don't even know what I'm drawing right now, but I'm drawing something. La la la.
You know what I'm going to be drawing?
La la la. Sorry.
You know what I'm going to be drawing? Hang on, that's that side.
I just walked all over your drawing as well.
It's okay, it's a hidden Mickey. That's pretty good.
Oh my god.
That's actually
Disney,
pretty
don't
good.
copyright
Minus
us.
this little bit over here. Right.
Ooh.
Hidden Mickey.
Hello. Ooh. Different colours. Da-da-da.
You could do a pink.
Oh, we've already
More
had
wholesome
yellow.
than most people's drawings, right? I mean, yours
I
looks like
love
you've
this.
tried to draw a bit of a hand.
I don't actually know what I was drawing. I was just getting very distracted because I wanted a hat. Whee! Damn it!
Created the Deathly Hallows. You're welcome. Where are Oh, you're jumping on mushrooms? Okay.
Yes. Probably shouldn't. Ooh, what's up here? Damn it! Where did you find that?
Over
Hello.
here. Oh. Well, that partially worked.
This is so cute. I like this side quest.
This is a good one.
It's so cute.
Let's go.
There, there.
We're missing a cat.
Now for the last cat.
One last cat.
Okay, one last cat. I'm gonna assume it's gonna be over in this direction. Yeah.
I'll be joining you in about 6 hours time.
Okay. No worries. I do need both of us to do it. Just see you on the
Just
tail.
go.
Okay,
Go,
chat,
baby.
get comfy. Sadie's gonna take her sweet time. It's okay.
We're coming. And what?
She's on her
There you
way.
go. Thank you, Mr. Snail.
We have to at least finish this chapter.
I love this.
I need to eat. Oh, we did it? Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I thought you'd be longer.
I know.
Hey.
Oh, gosh. Why are we jumping on
I don't know,
it's a
but...
graveyard. It's a graveyard.
Oh, this is adorable. Oh
Aww.
my god, what's around here?
It's like I'm in Coco now.
And there's a giant cat.
Now that's a big kitty. And there you are,
It
little
is a big
spirit
kitty.
Was.
That's it, kitty. Sleep time.
Here, kitty kitty.
Oh, I've got to jump, haven't I? You continue playing for them. Just distracts like Fluffy, you know?
Are you there yet?
Nearly. There we go. Hi.
Okay.
Oh no. I woke the cat up by accident.
All right, let's get back to the gate.
Oh, okay. Have we got the cat?
Yeah, I've got the cat.
Oh, okay.
Can we go this way?
It's this way. No, it's this way.
Oh, there was something down here.
Secret stuff.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm coming. I'm
Bye.
coming. No, I need you to come back.
Whew.
No, okay, I've got it. I've got it.
I don't know what's down here, but it looks... Oh my god, sword and stone. Moonfire.
Dear weary traveler, for great adventures lie ahead.
Oh, it's like a little bench.
I do lie ahead.
That is so cute. It's like a little bench thing.
Adorable. Did we get
Yes.
a trophy for that?
I think we get a trophy if we collect all of them.
Okay.
Bye. Woo.
Right, are you good? You with me now?
Yeah.
I just thought I'd die for you, you know.
Well,
That's
I
what our
died
friendship
for
is
you.
right there.
Oh, gee, thanks. I see where I'm wanted.
No, that means that I would wait and die.
Ah. I love how you can see the little pink where the arm was when I was the arm. The fact it's still
Okay.
there. Right. Oh, yep.
The thing
This
is,
is
I
so
sometimes get
cute.
so distracted by
By the way, I thought you
the
didn't
side
like cats.
quests that I forget that there is actually another chapter still to do.
It's only the ice
Yeah.
King who's a menace to society.
Right.
This is so cute though.
Isn't it really cute?
I like
Game
this
makers.
level. Whatever the next one is has really got competition.
Whoa.
The next little side quest.
This was
Oh, next game.
unexpected.
They've announced they've started developing
Oh, a new
the next
game.
game. Yeah, new game.
Right?
Nice.
Me and my sister Ella used to love making these on rainy days.
Nice.
I gotta give it to you. This is a legit pillow fort, Zoe.
Aw.
Our favorite thing to do in here was to create exciting adventures and whimsical stories and then imagine they were happening right outside our fort. I never made this into a finished story, though.
Sounds like this was the spot where your interest in writing first started.
I guess it was.
Aw.
Never thought of it like that.
Cute.
I could take a
Oh, had me yawning.
Yeah. We should get going, though.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That was a cute one. I
That was
liked
good.
that one.
I liked that. Yeah, that was a good one. I liked the
Less
music. I
stressful.
liked the
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Now, where were we?
Right.
Less
The
stress.
source of the toxin is
Yeah.
this way.
It's nice.
Let's go. Oh wait, no, it's not that way.
Yeah, it is.
This. Was it? Oh yeah.
That's me to go. Yaha.
Here it is.
Hi.
Oh no. Hang on. Okay, that's better. Alright, you're just stopping staring at me.
Woo. What, me?
Yeah, your character.
I was just there like, I'm just waiting for her. Just waiting for my friend while I'm dying. Up a spectate. Come on. Really? Or am I missing something entirely?
Jump on the yellow. It's in line. Now. Double jump.
I was
and
trying.
Go, go, go. Like as a speed run. Double jump and a dash.
Ah.
That's it.
I forget about dash
Okay,
sometimes.
let's split up.
I'm gonna shoot that for you.
Thank you. Oh. Yeah. I didn't realise that it was. Fuck! Fuck! Right, hang on.
Nice. Okay. Can you do the same for my one, please?
Yeah, hang on.
Hang on.
Ready?
Yep. Okay, no. I went too early.
Oh no.
Boss. But I am going to do that. Right. Yep. Can you go
Oh, yeah.
again?
Yeah. There you go.
Thanks.
Oh. I didn't realise that that was what I think we're supposed to do. It would help if you jumped down to the platform.
Aha.
There you go.
Oh, what just happened? It's so
Page
dark.
fight!
Probably nothing. I
Page
hope.
fight.
Yeah, it's definitely
Let's get ready to rumble!
Probably nothing. Let's get ready, let's get ready, let's get ready to rumble.
I don't recall
Watch us
writing
wreck the
this.
mic, watch us wreck the mic.
Keep shooting.
Yay! Oh no.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is great.
Ooh. It says Peak Tron right here.
Blast it!
Whoops.
Sorry.
Off the force field, Neo!
Thank you.
That shield!
Oh.
It's okay.
Hello.
I was trying.
I'm like, what's going on?
Right. That's it.
Hey.
Nice. Nice.
Take the lane!
Whew. Oh no.
Whoa!
Ooh, I'm going down this one.
Shoot it, Zoe!
Bye.
Oh shoot, okay.
Crap.
Shoot it!
Woohoo! That was really close. I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Oh, shoot.
Ah! Oh. Sorry, I died.
That's okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Whew.
I fancied the little
was
bit of
tense.
flaring jumping off.
I was
That
like,
was
that
very
is
tense. That was great.
Oh, this is like Mega Man.
Prepare yourself.
Yum.
This is some
Oh,
dangerous
my
territory.
love.
Oh, we are literally like the little robots though, aren't we?
Yeah,
Sure thing.
You know the ones that,
the battle robots.
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking anyway. Alright, ready? Oh, no. Hey, there you go.
That was good. Nicely done. This is a great level.
I love the level design of this.
Enemy up ahead!
Okay, do your...
Whoops, I died.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
I'm just kind of letting your one do it, you know?
Right, Oh.
Oh.
So
I mean, you can get yours right now, right?
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Or
I found the cheat in the system.
oh. Oh,
I don't think
what
I was meant to do that.
You attach. Hang on. No.
Push yours in.
There we go. Ah, crap.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Woo. Oh, there we go. Alright, ready? Oh, no, I've done mine too early. I did mine too early.
Okay. Why is your thing stuck on there?
Not sure.
Right, hang on. Nice.
Yeah. Oh.
Tight trigger!
Whew.
Beautiful.
That's pretty cool. Let's go me.
In you come.
Yay!
No! No! There we go.
Oh, like an energy field soap bubble.
Whew.
Nice.
Watch out!
Soz.
If I distract it. Oh no. I'm distracting it for you. Oh.
Thanks. Head. Hang on.
There you go. You try double,
How did you get over
I
there?
can't remember.
Okay,
There you go.
I'm there. I'm there. Oh, hello.
That is giving me
That
pure
was
Portal
fun.
vibes. That is 100%.
I just went all guns blazing. There you go.
That works.
Yeah. Play the system. Whee.
Whee!
Oh. There we go. Nice.
Oh, that's
Oh.
cool. It's like
That's
proper
very
old school.
cool.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Did we just glitch ourselves?
Oh no.
Shoot through the portal.
Oh!
Oh.
Let's shoot through this one. Hey!
Nailed it.
First time round, obviously.
What was the thing that we had to do to jump?
Again? Yeah.
Ouch.
I'm not sure. Oh, crap. Ah. Don't die, don't die, don't die. Yay! There we go. Oh, let's see. Oh no.
Ouch.
Oh no.
Soz. Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm already gone. My character's like, yeah. Oh, you can shoot through. That's very handy.
Ouch.
Oh no.
Ow. Ow.
Whoops. That's Robot from
At
Final
least
Fantasy.
you have a
7.
strategy now, though. You
Yeah.
have a strategy.
Oh no. Not very good strategy on my end. Damn you, Robot. Stop killing me. Yay.
Nice. Do your left one. I'm gonna try and get him down here. Stay alive, stay alive, stay alive!
Ah!
Oh!
He came straight
It's
at
okay.
me.
It's okay.
That's like, oh no.
Okay. That was worth it. That was worth it. It was worth it in the death.
Oh shit. Ah!
Yeesh. But that was a better attempt though.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I think I know what I need what to do. There we go.
Nice. Worth
If I
it.
get
worth
your
it.
help. Yes. We just need that one to die. Come on.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. GG's.
Yay. We did it. I love how this looks right now.
This is so good.
It's giving me pure Metroid vibes. You shoot yours.
Oh, okay.
There you go. I think you need to shoot your one.
Maintain focus.
Nice.
Yes. Oh no.
Not nice.
Yay! Nice.
Hey, Gally. How are you?
Hi, Gally.
Welcome on in. Just getting raided.
Oh. Whoops.
Welcome on in, raiders. Welcome on in.
How about this side?
We are playing some split fiction at the moment.
Ah!
Okay, wait until it's at the highest point. That's it.
Yay.
Welcome in. Welcome.
Welcome.
How goes it? How was Kronos? We are playing some good old, some good old split fiction. It's all about teamwork.
Launching missiles.
Mercedes basically doing all of the work.
Yeah. Oh.
Quite literally. Ouch. There we go.
That's
Nice.
one down.
It's a good game though. This is wicked.
I'm enjoying this so far.
Yeah, same. This is really good.
Yes.
Nice. I feel like he kind of just gave up on that one.
Go.
Nice.
I do mine,
Okay.
you do yours. Okay, that makes sense.
Is this what we're meant to do?
Oh, no, she says something. Oh, yeah. Whee! Oh, right. Where am I?
Where am I? Okay, I'm here.
I like shoot it.
Nice. Yeah, it's
Aha.
to do with all of your bouncing.
Yay!
Okay, hang on. This is going to take me a while. It's definitely going to take me a while.
I don't even know how I made it. I just made it somehow.
This might take us a little while, guys. Oh, it's so close. Okay, hang on.
Oh no.
Okay.
Maybe it's as soon as you land.
Oh,
no.
that one was closer.
Yay!
Did it! Did it! Patience. Patience, grasshopper. Oh, we both landed on that.
Screw you guys. Then screw you guys. Leave me alone.
Oh, Zoz.
Oh, hang on. Where are you?
You did something.
Oh.
Aha. Okay. Oh.
Right.
No.
There. Oh, no. Hang on. I think I know what I need to do. No. I know what I need to do.
Concentrate.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah. Oh, we need to time it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can only control so much of it. Soz. That was my fault.
Oh, maybe. As soon as you hit that one, drop down. Oh. Hang on.
Oh, it's in drop down.
Yeah,
I'm with
drop,
you.
drop.
Yeah.
Oh.
Uh,
Yeah. What the?
how do I do drop down again?
So if you do it, go left a little bit, just so we don't kill you. Press
Hang on,
square
let me
and
practice
then
here.
down. Square and down. On your.
Pressing square and down.
Wait, hang on. So like down on your control pad. Oh no.
No.
So press square and you gotta do it at the same time. So it's squaring down on your control pad.
It is the same time.
Hang on. There you go. I mean, I
Keep
trust
it
you.
here.
Yeah.
I am pressing it though.
Because we need to time it really well.
Yeah.
Because then you've got to do it with me as well.
Down and
Unless-
jump.
Unless when you go through.
It is down and jump.
Yeah.
Thank you, Code Monkey.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. I think.
No, you were saying down and square.
Oh, down and cross.
It's okay. Right, are we ready?
It's been a long day.
Thanks, Code Monkey.
Thank you, Code. That was on me. What?
Okay. Right.
Is this not
we count
going?
this.
Hang on.
We count it. We count it. 3, 2.
What is going on with this thing?
Oh my. This is gonna take a while.
Very confused as to what we're supposed to do after that point. Hang on.
Oh, not that! So basically, I will jump down,
Yep.
I'll flick up. I need to jump back down into the pink one
Yep.
on the left.
Yeah.
So once I'm up, slide it across, I then jump down
Yep.
to then be pushed up. You slide it across as much as possible before the laser goes off.
Okay.
Or I'm able to jump. No, I jump over to the right hand side one because it's over the column. Okay?
Okay.
So, and down.
Oh.
So yes,
Yeah.
I think.
We'll try that method. See if it works.
Oh, that was my fault. Toz. Yeah, so when I'm then chucked down,
Yeah.
like pop down, you move it across on the right, like to the right. It then
Okay.
pops me up by the laser, and then hopefully,
And then I'll
back
move
down
you across
again
when
once
you
the
go by the
laser's
laser.
set.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I don't even know what happened there. Kind of did what I wanted it to do.
Just if, I was going to do it if
So,
I
yeah.
do that and you go up.
But when I've dropped, I basically need to try and get into the same.
Yeah. Because I think
We
the
just do
laser,
it in one,
Yeah. 'Cause
so
I
that
think-
it drops.
I was going to say, I think the laser goes off when you're coming back down.
Yeah.
So if I try
Whereas,
and,
yeah.
when you're going up, move it across to the end and you try and get your character over to the end, maybe?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, oh, like
I mean, that kind
but
of
You
worked.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Yes. Now we have to repeat all of that.
Oh no. I,
Oh, sorry.
you can see what I mean by the controls are slightly hard.
Oh. We're getting closer.
Ah.
It's okay. We're closer.
We're closer with me than. Ah!
Sorry. I pushed the wrong button.
It says payback.
Hang on,
isn't
hang on.
it?
I'm itching my eye. I'm itching my eye. I'm itching my eye. Okay, right. I
Good.
itched.
Yay!
Yes. Okay, right. That took us way too long, but it's fine.
Oh. Damn it. Hang on.
I like how it won't let you progress without the other person.
That's sweet. Friendship tested.
Whee!
Yay!
Zoe, what can I say? I'm a natural born killer.
I feel like we're
that's-
Ant-Man and the
who
Wasp.
Yeah. That's slightly concerning
That's what
if
I
she's
feel.
a natural born killer. Oh,
There's the natural born killer.
oh boy.
Shoot it now!
Oh, you've got to do your...
Ouch. Ouch. Ow.
Oh no.
Overseer. Okay. Maybe. I think we. Is that doing damage?
I think it is.
Oof, sorry.
This is like proper old school boss fight right here.
This is great.
I love it.
Eyes are frozen! Use those rocket eyes!
Ouch. It doesn't help. My targeting practice is terrible.
Yes.
Ouch.
Oh no.
If I play these games with Sadie, because Sadie's good.
Yeah. Oh no. Don't. Hey!
Oh, well, that was handy. Don't die. Ouch.
It's
No, it's getting quicker.
really
God.
tense. That's a bit too tense for me.
Okay.
Please save it at some point, game.
New eyes incoming!
Ouch.
Haha. Sugar. Don't die.
Nice.
Yes, and it's just saved as well, so that's handy for us. Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh!
Ooh. You can just see me go, oh my god!
Where's it coming in from?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Jeez.
We get this.
Ouch. Okay.
Oh, it's just some acid reflux.
Just acid
Get up,
reflux.
get up!
I wasn't really paying attention. Oh, we're on the wrong side. We're on the wrong side. I think.
It's fine. Oh, I don't know what just happened. What just happened? Where am I? I don't know where I am. Oh.
Hey, we need to help each other out.
On my side. my goodness, this is great.
I'm running for my life right now.
That is
nice,
fantastic.
Oh no! Ah, let me run.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Oh,
We both figured it out, but we both
Yeah.
died. It's fine. Whee!
okay. Well, at least it only
like
drops
this.
us in here.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, this is great.
Love it. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Died. Ouch.
Oh no. Oh, we're supposed
I
to
couldn't
avoid
see
the
where
fire.
I was. It's okay.
We got this. Evening,
Evening pause.
How are you doing? Uh-oh.
I thought I'd defeat this
Basically,
boss fight
shoot
and then
everything.
Basically, yeah. That's it, we got this. Oh. A very Canadian stream. How is it Canadian? Just getting in le tub because it's French.
Okay. I think I know what.
We got this. Yeah. Oh no, I ran into my own weapon. Where am I?
You're at the bottom.
Got it, got it.
Yes.
Oh, that was lucky. I was about to get killed again. Pause, I hope you're doing well. Everyone's so sorry. What are you sorry for?
Ah!
Oops.
Uh-oh. Oh, are we?
Okay.
I think we're supposed to shoot at thingies.
Yeah. Oh no. I was.
You're
why
supposed
did I
to
keep
shoot at
running
the
forwards?
thingies.
Why do I keep running forwards?
I don't know, but you're supposed to shoot at the thingies, I think.
I
Is
know,
that
I
right?
died though.
Ah!
There we go. That's a way of clearing it.
Let me shoot. You let me shoot. Go. Go.
Ah! Oh no. I'm sorry.
Oh no. It's like, right, while you're shooting that way, I'm shooting at him.
Right, so basically I'm just shooting up and down and it's working. So just do it like really quickly. Ah! Okay, nice.
Ow! Oh, like that. Oh no. No, 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 no. Yes! Oh, that was close.
Oh no, no, I'm still in, I'm still in.
There's a lot of lava here. Oh no!
Over to the sides, yeah. That's it. Oh no! Oh no!
No!
No! We were so close on that
Oh
one.
my god! Come on!
Oh gosh. Keep it in. Keep it in. That was that bit. Got this.
Yes!
This turtle face. Great. Yes.
Oh my god, that was so tense.
Nicely done. Your chair looks well comfy, by the way.
It
Sorry,
is
I was just
very
saying.
comfy. It's my nice little
I need-
IKEA chair.
Oh,
Yeah, I
get
need
it
to
now.
get something like
You're
that.
into old gunslinging movies, aren't you? You mean Western?
Gunslinger.
That was so tense. I was like, oh my god.
Sure. Pick up your eye.
That was a lot.
That was fun, but jeez, that was
It was
intense.
fun, but that was a
My
lot.
eye?
Yeah.
Now what?
They're jetpacks.
Ooh, you have jetpacks.
Of course. Dad is
Can fly.
is what?
We can fly. We
Into
can
westerns.
fly. We can fly.
Didn't realize the gunslinging details
Thank you for doing
snuck
that.
its way into this.
You're welcome.
Well, I like it. It makes the story more personal.
I guess.
That felt like a
Buckle
boss
up.
fight.
Yeah, that's what I felt.
Aw, man.
Stop it.
Wee! Wee!
So, where to?
To the top floor.
Then let's
Jetpack
soar to the sky.
joyride. Thank you.
Ouch.
Don't forget to dash.
Da, 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 da.
Turbo boost.
I'm coming.
Woo.
I'm just loading up my stuff. There we go.
Ooh, this is
Oh,
fun.
nice.
These jetpacks rule!
Is that another story? Oh.
It is.
There, Zoe! Another side story!
Ah. Uh-oh.
Oh. It's okay. We both failed at the same time.
For feck's sake. Yay!
Oh.
Jetpacks, did you now, Stormblade?
Ooh. Okay, that wasn't a good idea. This is so cute.
There we go. There I
Look
was being
how-
like, oh, I need the chapter to finish. I've got to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I want to get food.
Look how cute this
It was
is.
a dark and stormy
Zoe's
night.
notebook.
No, too cliche.
Oh,
Once
it's
upon a
Snoopy.
time- Yes, much better.
Oh my
Who's
God.
she
Once
cliche
upon a
and then?
time, there were
much
two
better.
All the time.
heroes who were walking in.
This is so cute.
Yes,
Oh my god. There are so many cute levels in this game. This is why I want to do the side bits. Oh my
The fact
god.
that they've drawn this, you know.
Holy moly.
All
I
of a
love
sudden-
this.
a call to adventure.
Where?
Oh
Hello?
no! I have terrible news!
What?
Our prince has been captured!
Oh no.
Oh no.
This way. That way, forward,
The duo
backwards,
took
under the
action as
Irish
fast
Sea.
as they could.
Woo!
I just wanted to go up another cloud.
So did I. I'm on
You
cloud
saw the
9.
blades coming down the
Oh,
cable
no.
from Elisa battle.
Enemies.
It's definitely
Our heroes
taking
need a weapon.
inspiration from a lot of things.
We get swords.
Oh,
R2.
thanks. I definitely forgot.
Swords have been done. Ooh, they could wield nunchucks.
Yeah.
Nunchucks.
Watch out!
Eat nunchucks.
Ouch.
Nunchucks don't really fit, do they?
Damn it.
Ooh, bows are cooler.
Yes!
We need new enemies. How about the bird?
Hi.
Pew pew!
Pew pew.
So cool.
This is
There
so
is a bridge
cute.
that must be crossed.
I'm crossing. Ah,
A
crap.
cyclops
Ouch.
is guarding it. Halt thee! You must solve my riddles 3.
Oh, God.
First, what is brown and sticky?
A stick.
Plug. No, this is all too violent.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And this isn't.
Okay, let's try again. Okay, no idea.
This is
We
great.
need 2 heroes. What
Oh,
if,
no.
What if instead there was a noble steed? Yes! One of them could be a horse.
Why am I the horse?
And I'm riding the horse.
Why is it always me?
Wait, hang on. Need you to go back for me.
You're meant to go up there. Yeah, you go
Yeah.
up there.
Ah! Hang on. Thank you. Come on. You need to come this way.
Okay. I'm coming. I'm on my
Oh,
way.
for feck's sake, I just died. There we go. Right.
There we go.
Yay!
Okay,
Nice.
good story needs a misty mountain.
Resisting.
The controller is
No
trotting.
horse.
I love it.
Horses can't
Yay.
climb.
Oh.
Horses can't climb exactly.
This is such a
A
cute
tricky
side
climb
story.
awaits.
This is so cute.
Oh no. Hang on.
Oh.
Smash! Yikes! Try not to fall.
Gee, thanks. I don't even know
Hang on,
where I
I'm
am.
coming up. Okay, we're climbing.
I skipped ahead by accident.
Watch out! A boulder!
Ah!
Oh!
Ouch!
Sorry.
Looked like it hurt.
Are we going up that way
I
or?
think we are.
Okay, cool.
I just died again.
Okay.
Dear, the mountain has become far too steep for our heroes to climb. Surely the goats of the mountain will lend a hoof.
Oh no.
Yes! Do you ever watch The Price is Right? And you had the little goat and the yodeler? Hello, Ash.
Why
Hello.
is this giving me like hoodwinked?
This is
vibe?
Super Mario.
Hi Ash.
This is
You're
Sonic.
right.
This is Sonic right here.
Yeah, this has reminded me of Hoodwinked for some bizarre reason.
Eventually, our heroes reach the mountain
I love
summit.
Hoodwinked.
Yay!
It's such a good film.
Yay!
A dark cave is revealed.
Ooh, let's go in.
Our heroes
Ooh.
enter the cave. Spikes! Ouch!
You good?
Oh, I didn't realize we had to.
Ouch. Okay. Nailed it. got this. Nice.
Yay! And now she removes the spikes.
We reached the bottom of the cave. Everything goes dark. Darkness.
My eyesight is failing me.
Scary.
Ooh, scary, scary.
Very scary.
Spooky. Oh my god. Okay.
Okay, and I'll be the first person to fall down a pit.
Cave is a very
I
dangerous
mean,
place.
usually it's me going
Filled
very
with bats.
full guns.
Our
Oh my god,
heroes
this
may
is
need
so
bows
cute.
after all.
Go this way.
Oh, I was trying to get.
Oh.
I thought we were going for the bat still.
No, Batman. Yes.
There we go.
Right. Bit too dark. I'll look all my bows.
What is that? A mighty gate!
Where?
Yay!
Hello.
Help me! Help me!
Yeah.
The prince is tied up.
I'm trying to get you down.
Something has captured the prince. A demon. A crab. Or a duck.
Should we make it dark?
A duck. A duck. You gotta
duck.
stand. There we go. A duck.
I want a duck.
Giant duck.
The big duck appears.
Oh. Okay.
Ouch. We are fighting a giant duck, everyone.
Untitled Goose Game has really let itself go.
Stop!
Oh,
What was I thinking? A duck?
that's having fun.
Maybe something else.
You make it a crab.
Crab. I like that we both go for the animal.
Giant enemy
Oh.
crab appears.
Now Tamador wasn't always just this crab. It was a crab, little crab once.
Shiny. Oh no.
Like a sunken shouldn't find a check. I should really know the lyrics to that. Ouch. Scrub.
Everything is so
deck and make it
shiny.
feel shiny.
Oh. Curse of the duck.
Okay, we got him.
Yay!
We got him.
Glorious.
Yay!
Glorious. Oh. Hang on.
Oh.
Got him.
Oh my god.
I definitely shot him, but
He's a bit stuck.
I knew I could count on you.
oh, why am I now carrying him?
Haha.
Why am I now Norman Reedus in Death Stranding right here?
Oh my god, this is adorable.
This is amazing. Hey,
Oh my
Krollick.
god. Hey, Grollick. This is so cute. We get into a boat. What happens if we walk into the water?
Oh, I can
my
swim
God,
with him
we
on my
can
back,
swim.
apparently.
There's a crab. Get it. Another crab. I've seen you
This
before
is so
somewhere.
cool.
This is like a white boxing level of a video game. So like
It's giving
early
me,
stages.
Take on me vibes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's sad now.
Me. Take me. I'm sailing a ship.
And the two heroes, now champions, set sail.
That was so cute. I like that one.
At home. The end.
Oh,
That's cute.
I like that one. That's a cute one. That was
Nice,
adorable.
nice find.
Your attempt to make a children's
Nice find.
a successful attempt, I'd say. Oh,
I like that one.
That was
one
worth
really
the
adorable.
sidetrack.
Yes.
man, I
Ah.
love that one.
Oh, we'll join you in a second. I just want to see how long we've got left on this
Okay, I'm
level.
gonna die.
I was just seeing how long we've got left on this level, that's all.
I feel like we're quite close.
Yeah. We are nearly there. I died.
He's okay, I'll wait.
Thank you.
I kind of have to wait anyway.
Really? I landed. Nope. Ah!
Oh,
Whew.
I think we need to go like over.
I did it. I'm alive.
GG's. Proud of you.
Ah! I think we both need to shoot at the same
Oh.
time.
Yeah, no, I know what. No, I know what it was. I don't need to actually be on it. Just shoot. There we go.
At least that one's now. Squeaky clean. You didn't say you did enjoy this. So far. Yeah. I'm enjoying it anyway.
Charged up.
Okay, ready?
Right. Yes.
Nice.
Yay.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm
So,
enjoying
you
it.
enjoying it?
Yeah. This is so cool.
I don't really know where I'm meant to be. Where are you?
I'm shooting
Shooting.
something. I don't know.
Oh, I'm getting shot at. I died. I was like,
I
I
died.
don't know what I'm getting shot at. Okay, that one's dead. That one's dead.
That one's dead.
Is that all of them?
Oh, I died.
Oh shit!
Drone dead.
Whew. Where are they?
Drone dead. Drone dead. Drone dead. Machine gun down. Machine gun down.
Last one!
Machine gun down.
Yeah.
Angels of death!
Nice. It is a blast. Have you played this before, Pause?
This is so much fun. I'm really enjoying it. Oh.
No.
Ah, right. Right.
I'm confused as to what we're meant to be doing.
Come
I
on.
died. I died. Hang on, right, let's try and figure this out.
I'm going over to this platform.
Oh, that kind of makes sense. Okay. I have to wait a little bit.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Oh, so you got to try
Okay.
get that across.
Okay, is it together?
Yeah,
Oh no, I see.
that makes sense. Right, ready?
Okay. So I think
So
I'm gonna do.
You need to shoot at the, not that bit.
It is-
yeah,
It
that
is
bit.
this one
Yeah.
first.
Oh no, it's always that one.
It has to. It's always
Oh.
that one. Because it's stopping the wave.
Because
Got it.
ah,
Okay.
if that
So
makes
yeah,
sense. And then you,
that one.
yeah. It takes to, it's so fun. I still need to play it, Ash. Whew. Ah, damn it.
I don't get this bit though. Hang
So
on.
you need to time it, so when it's in, you detonate it, like that.
Okay, so I did my one, so we need ours timed together
Yeah.
as best as possible.
Yeah. I'm pre-loading it on there, so if you shoot your thingy, like shoot the...
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
Preloading it. There you
Nice. GG's.
go. Yay! Oh no. Woo! Oh no. That was not what I was trying to do.
Oh shoot.
Oh
Thank you
no.
for the GG's. Oh, made it. Thank you for the GG's there, Pauls.
Ah, no! Right.
Hang on, which side are you coming through? Come through the red.
Incoming! Oh no. That didn't work.
You can come through the red if you want. At the bottom one. Oh, you're on the top one still. Okay.
Yeah, hang on. Do it. Oh no, don't do it.
Yeah, hang on. No, hang on. Where's my other? Okay. I might be able to. I mean, you can do your blue.
Oh no. Oh, that's what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, you go for your blue one.
Whee!
Nice. There we go.
That was really tense. What to do now? Ah.
Bye bye, Jetpack High.
Oh.
Wish I could keep
Oh, I liked my jetpack.
I wanted my jetpack.
That was good. Fine.
Where are we going now? Through here? Whee!
That wasn't aimed at me, was it?
No. Totally.
Totally not. Totally not. Okay. Right. Did it say how much longer we have? Like, that's the big boy.
Yeah, I think we got like 2 things left. That's it. We've got speed boats, and then we have one more thing, and that's it. This level,
Okay.
anyway.
This is where the mechs keep him. They captured and tortured him to siphon his lifeblood.
Oh. They captured and tortured someone.
They captured and tortured someone.
Apparently.
That poor thing.
Yeah.
The monster. Not monster, but
You probably already guessed it, but I sort of based the story around my dad.
There we go.
poor thing.
Ever since he got
I
diagnosed.
know, right? Holy moly, I've just seen, I've been going for like almost 7.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Medicines, treatments.
Oh, my eyes are hurting.
There's me at 2.5.
It doesn't matter what we try.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I've been awake since 7:30. So. Woohoo!
Seems like all we can do now is wait for the inevitable. It might be tomorrow. Next month, 6 months, who knows?
Oh, me,
Are you alone in all of this? What about your mother? Your family?
It has always just been me and my dad.
I'm sorry.
He does look sad, right?
All I can do is write this silly story where I get to save him. Like it would change anything.
No one should have to go through that. Much less alone.
I don't want to stay here, Zoe. I want to leave.
Then let's do that.
Aw. Are we breaking him out? Yay!
He's not a prisoner anymore.
That's our escape! Go!
Oh yeah, motorbikes.
Speedboats. Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're talking. Aw. Destroying the business as he goes.
Good. That's what we wanted to happen.
Yeah. Let's not die.
Where even is he?
I don't know.
I gotta say, that was really nice of you. What did I do? Opening up your feelings like that.
Aw.
What now, Zoe?
Aww. With it. Oh, not with it.
Whoa, he's impressive.
He is. To be fair, he is quite impressive.
He's doing a good job of destroying it. Aww. It's adorable. Oh no.
Stay out of the toxin.
Whee!
This is good. Oh.
Whee!
You're right there, just doing your little slidey slidies.
Slide!
Full throttle, Zoe.
Oh. I let
did
go,
the
I
same
let go.
I don't know if I was supposed to rise that early.
Full throttle, Zoe.
Oh, that makes sense. Whee! Whee!
Okay.
It's so cute.
This is awesome.
I like this. Like, she's freed her dad in this.
Yeah.
Oh my god, It is a bit like motorbikes.
Yeah. Oh, this is great.
It's just me just going. Oh boy.
We're getting a massage though.
That's nice.
My controller is going cray cray. Oh, that was so good.
Everyone's like, abandon all things.
And we're just like, yay!
Freedom! Ah, that's what I hated today.
Nice.
That's how we do it!
Oh, this is so good.
I love this.
So much is going on around us, and I'm just like, what's happening?
Everything's
Where I'm
been blown
going.
up and there's me going, "Ooh, let's see how fast I can go."
Yeah. Have you ever been jet skiing?
No. I don't know if I'd like it. Have you?
No, I'm kind of the same. I'm like, would I like it?
Like,
I've been parasailing.
I've never done that either.
I'm not sure if I liked it or not.
I'd like to do surfboarding. But
I lost track of where I was going. I'm sorry. You want to do
Did I?
surfboarding? Me too.
yeah.
Thank you!
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. We've both got a little bit lost there.
thank you, Mr. Octopus.
It's a good octopus.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes, octopus.
Yes. We destroy the entire thing. I've been around people that do evil laughs all day.
Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. Ha ha ha.
There's literally,
You're maybe the first person who's seen this side of me.
there's literally what one of my colleagues does, and it was really off-putting when
I'm not used
you're
to
just
space.
randomly trying to do something
I
and
know.
all you hear, and you're like, fucking hell.
Really? I know, I'm such a downer.
This is so good.
Dad means the world to me.
Oh,
It's so unfair. And there's this anger growing inside of me.
oh, poor thing.
I feel trapped. It's like I'm lost
I
in
want
the
to
dark.
give her
I
a
don't know
hug,
what to do.
even though she's like a character.
Who
I know,
wouldn't be
right?
overwhelmed by it all? It makes you human.
What a good way of like expressing grief, you know?
Someone's sure enjoying that freedom.
I just wish it was true in the real world.
Aw.
I don't think he's a sad octopus anymore.
He's a happy
Sad giant
octopus.
squid. Yeah, he's a happy squid.
Oh yeah, here's his squid.
I really hope you and your father pull through this.
Thanks.
Oh,
That was a good long chapter. Chapter?
Mm.
You know what,
Chapter.
Mio?
copter.
You're
Hey,
starting
it
to
could be a
make little
chopper.
more sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, I don't think you're a downer.
Yay, we got glitch.
We did it. Right, let's see what he's got to say about this one.
Oh, it's red.
And black.
What is going on?
Down here, I am the one that makes the rules.
Okay, he sounds serious.
Whatever. Let's bounce.
Here, here.
Oh.
Oh.
No, 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 no!
In order to get to the next building, we need to.
We got him. They're locked in. System failsafe mode is active, sir.
Our window of opportunity is now.
Finally, initiate repair protocol.
No.
It's not going to work.
No.
Oh no, it is working.
Looks like it's healing itself.
Oh no.
Good luck reaching that glitch now, huh?
Challenge
Why are
accepted.
you even doing this?
Can't you see that I'm doing society a favor? I'm the good
Evil
guy here.
Knievel.
I
Calling him evil
seriously doubt
Knievel.
Is he the good guy? Yeah,
What you're
exactly.
witnessing down there is but a taste of what my machine can do. I will change the entire industry. I just need to gather enough stories, and my machine will be fully operational.
By stealing them?
I'm not surprised that you narrow-minded amateurs can't comprehend the majesty of what I'm trying to achieve here.
What? All I see is another big corporation screwing over the little guy.
Yeah, how original.
It doesn't matter what you think. All you have to do now is sit tight and witness as I fully restore my machine and put an end to your insignificant little uprising.
Wait, what is this thing?
They're getting pulled
No
apart.
idea, but it
Oh,
can't
no.
be good. Let's look around, Zoe. There's got to be a way to find that glitch.
Sure.
Righty.
Oh, okay. Do you want to leave it here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
feel
then
like-
we'll.
I was gonna say, I feel like this could end really badly if we're not.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
leave it there. Sadie, thank you so much again for letting me play it.
It's all good.
I mean, it's up to you because I don't know what you're working tomorrow, but if you want
Gotta
to
be
try
up
and
at
continue
9:30,
it,
so
yeah.
go
Well,
decompress.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for joining. And yeah, it feels like a good spot to kind of end it as well. But yeah, Sadie, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Oh,
Appreciate
thank
you, boo. I'm not going to do a raid out because it is quite late. I need to eat as well because I am getting a headache and the room is 30 degrees right now. Yeah, but I will see you guys soon. I myself will probably be back on tomorrow. Sadie, you're uploading this to YouTube, right?
Yes, hopefully. The first
Yeah,
episode is
so-
taking decades, but
There
it will be uploaded at some point.
you go.
Do I do a
So-
shameless plug? Yeah, fuck it.
Absolutely, yeah, do it. Do it.
If
Thank
I
you for
don't-
the stream.
No, that is. Oh shit, that's on your one. Hang on. Let me do it on my chat. See if I can.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, I don't know. Amber, it's so good to see you in
There
here,
you
my
go.
darling. Thank you very much.
Oh damn it! If you do it on my chat, it should.
I'll do it on yours. Hang on. Let's have a little look.
Copy.
There you go. It's a good thing we mod for each other.
Oh,
You're
there.
welcome.
Because for some reason it just doesn't appear for me on anything.
Yeah,
I'm
it's in there. It's
somewhere.
in there.
I was
You're
like, I don't know what's
welcome.
going on at the moment.
Something's
Okay.
happening. Oh, your pause screen is different to mine as well. That's well cool.
Oh
Mine
yeah.
just says paused by another other player, which is great.
Now I've got
Guys,
yours.
we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Don't text and drive. Be awesome. Be amazing. Bye.
Farewell.